Welcome to the show that continues to address interesting subjects in and out of the news, media and life. It's the things you need to know, all while surrounded by old steak fries and beer. It seems the presidential-elect transition team has built a management team of retired Army generals that's going to be led by the chief executive of the company responsible for one of the largest environmental disasters of all time. BP, of course, doesn't count because it's a British firm and therefore that disaster was not its fault. I'm reliably told, and you may not have heard this before, but this is the first place you will hear it, on our podcast of Undressed, that President-elect Trump is in talks with leader Kim Jong-un to be his Secretary of State for East Asian Affairs. We, the humble Undressed, will discuss all so that you can look and sound like an elite at your holiday do. In the event here in the back room of Conroy's Emporium, where in fact you can obtain anything your heart desires, we will keep calm and undressed while our panel consider the following important and varied subjects: lucky charms and rituals, who or what perhaps says no to a president, what happens if the Electoral College says no to Mr. Trump and yes to Mrs. Clinton, people who are of a different party or even faith are thus nasty, double standards with Boeing, what's a fact, maybe TV weather reporters, we might get to them, Time magazine, what the fuck? Hang on, who's on the team tonight? Magic, Dr. Orlando, that indefatigable Kathleen Taylor.
Hello.
The legendary Tyler Durden.
That
That marvel of sophistication. What's up? That marvel of sophistication. I have to say it, you see. So
do.
it interrupts
That's
my
fantastic.
spiel. Jane Carter, the Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones, Ivo Ivanov. Without further ado, the first question for our panel. Lucky charms or rituals? Over the weekend, I was given an 1883 silver dollar by a dear friend as a good luck talisman, because he knows I've got to go and do something which I need a good luck talisman for. And he just came up, and he's had one his father gave him. And he gave me another one. Great big thing it is. Now, what about you? What have you, fellow undressed? Let's start with Dr. Orlando.
So I don't have any current talismans that I carry. I used to carry actually quite a few. I used to carry a coin. I used to carry a very special lighter. If I had any one talisman right now or thing that I carry that I think is a part of what gives me calm and helps me to get through my day, it'd be my cell phone.
Your cell phone?
Yeah.
You feel lost without it?
I feel lost with that. I feel anxiety if I don't have my cell phone. So having
That's
it
kind of
just-
sad.
Actually, I think a lot of Americans would probably admit that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tyler, what about you? What say you?
Kind of similar to Dr. Orlando. I don't have anything that I carry, but as far as like maybe a lucky charm, I will admit that when KU plays basketball, I have to wear a certain jersey. Not that I believe that it brings me good luck, but it's just part of the ritual. And so I have to wear a certain jersey of my favorite KU player, and if I don't, then I feel naked, like I don't have my cell phone.
Do you have any special things at home? Do you have any things that you've had since your childhood? Or
I have special things like maybe family heirlooms, something like that. But as far as
that make you feel comfortable that you like having around?
Honestly, probably my cat.
Oh, I got a different answer. When you phrase the question like that, that changes my answer drastically, only because I happen to lose half of these things that I've had since I was a child. I lost half of my comic book collection.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had been collecting comics since I was 12. Had them all bagged and boxed and backed and the whole shebang. Have had them literally. The first thing I collected was DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths back in 1984. And I've had them since I was a little kid. We had a flood in our basement, and the comics were packed tightly enough in the box that the water wicked up the side of the plastic bags underneath the
That's awful.
underneath the flap on the bag, ruined I'm going to guess 2,000, 3,000 comics that I have literally carried with me all over this country. I cried more when my comics were destroyed than for my first divorce.
Wow.
Kathleen, have you got anything special things
I
that are special
don't
to you?
actually think so. I am not. I mean, I hoard material. I'm a seamstress. I sew. I sew quilts and things, and I would feel bad if my whole collection of ragtag, whole room full. But I would also look forward to starting over again and now being able to buy stuff. So I don't think I hold on to particular things that way.
Do you not have anything that's sentimental?
Not particularly. I'm not a sentimental person.
What about your husband?
I've got rid of one already. And I can do it again.
Thank you, Lewis. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
This is the best show ever right now.
Jane, what about you?
I have.
And you're allowed to have a teddy bear. I have a teddy bear. I have all sorts of things. So you're allowed to have whatever you like.
Well, it wasn't necessarily given to me, but I took it. When my grandfather died, he had a keychain that they gave him when he retired from being a principal after like 35 years. And every once in a while, if I'm feeling especially down, I'll carry it around for a while. It's kind of a comfort thing, I guess, from somebody I admired the most. But as far as, teddy bears and stuff like that, it's all packed away at my mom's. I don't have that kind of thing. That's about it.
My mum threw away a load of my things. I
My
don't
mom
know
did
why.
the same.
Did she?
Yeah. Didn't
Really?
even tell me. I just came home one day and it's like, where's all my stuff? She goes, oh, I got rid of that all. I gave it to Goodwill.
My mom actually
It's like, wow, can I give you
sold
to
my
Goodwill?
golf clubs at a flea market thing. So
Well, my parents got rid of all my stuff from when I was a kid, but I didn't notice it for about 30 years. I mean, who cares?
I got married on December the 2nd, 1978. And
A
I
day
have to
that
say
will
it,
live in infamy. Oh, go ahead.
and it seems like yesterday. You know what a horrible day yesterday was. Anyway, boom. So so I got married on December the 2nd. So you will understand there are about 3 weeks before December the 2nd and Christmas, right? So my new wife of 3 weeks and I drive back home for Christmas, and we're going to stay in my bedroom. Okay, fine. So I assume that all my stuff is still in my bedroom, which I'm going to sort of take with me back down to where we're living. My Fender Strat bass, which at the time didn't have any strings, had gone. She didn't give it away. She put it in a dustbin.
oh my
What?
god.
Seriously, in a metal dustbin. It gone.
What?
I had
His mother never liked him playing music.
Yes, apparently.
chest of, not a, what do you call it, dressing table, right?
Okay.
And it had a drawer in it. That drawer was probably 3 foot across by about 6 inches deep, full of photographs. Back in those days, in the 70s, we used to take photographs. Full of photographs of all the bands I'd played with and sites.
Don't
we
tell me
don't-
she got rid of all of those.
She threw the whole lot. Because she said there were
gosh.
pictures of my old girlfriends in it and that my new wife wouldn't like the photographs. So she threw the whole lot away.
How did you not stab her in the throat?
Training, actually, is what it was about.
I guess it had to be that.
Kathleen will tell you, my wife would tell you, training. But I came away with my teddy bear, and it is fair to say that my teddy bear, whose incidentally name is Pooh, right, has been on the
course.
radio and
Aren't they
stuff
all?
like that, who I've had since the day I was born, literally, was one of the causes that my wife and I got together. And so he's very, very dear to me. And I think other people have things that are just special to them. My father used to have a Dunhill lighter.
Everybody has a precious.
Something has a precious, and what about our engineering team? Precious? Do you have a precious? Eric, the producer, has a precious. What's your precious?
Oh, yes. It's hidden away in a tin canister. Everything that I hold dear sentimentally. Very sentimental person.
Right.
Could be a note from 7th grade girlfriend. It could be keychain from grandmother, which I do have, that she gave to me. A lot of stuff. Ticket stubs.
But just things that are something special.
Oh, yes. I can pull that out and look at it and go back to any time in my life.
Here's a theory for you.
Zero.
I think men are more sentimental than women.
I know we are.
Yeah.
Women are practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then how come when it comes to marriages and the, common idea that as soon as a son gets married, you'll never see him again because you always have to go to the woman's family? I mean, doesn't that kind of bridge onto the sentimentality? I mean, isn't that why women have to go back to their family? You know what I'm talking about?
No, that's practical.
Is it?
You go to mom's because, you don't want to go to your husband's mom and have her belittle you.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to add to your point, actually, and kind of maybe give you some evidence. Now that I've thought about it and heard what you all responded with, I do realize there is something at work that I have. I've got what I call my feel-good file.
Is this pictures of me?
No, that's a different show.
Okay.
As an educator, over the years, I've collected things that students have given me that have thanked me for teaching them, and like Christmas cards or just thank you cards when they graduated or drawings they've given me. And that is probably my most sentimental thing, is I've just got this collection that I call my feel-good file. So I'm having a crappy day at work.
This would be
Proves that
nice.
you've done it.
Yeah.
It proves you've done it.
Yeah.
Always
And appreciate
difficult
it.
to ask Evo this question because, coming from Bulgaria, being a communist as he is, living in the castle, the vampire stuff,
Communists don't live
lucky
in
charms or
castles.
rituals. I was just saying, repeat for the listeners that I was given a silver dollar, an 1880s silver dollar, and someone's had it before me and rubbed it. You can see it's, a chef gave it to me, actually. Yeah. And we're just going around. What about you? Do you have anything that is dear to you, perhaps from your childhood?
Like
I don't
Lucky
know.
Charms type?
It could be, we know you have the rituals, and we don't need to do the lavatory story all over again.
Oh, yeah. The superstitions. And,
Hats,
yeah.
I know you are with baseball hats.
yeah, hats. I have a lucky hat. I have lucky socks, lucky T-shirt. I have a lucky amulet. I have a lucky little tiny harmonica that I wear. I'm serious.
You have a
I'm
tiny
extremely
little harmonica?
superstitious. Yeah, tiny little harmonica on a. I don't have it right now, but certain times when I have a soccer game. I have to wear it. Soccer games, I'm a coach, as you know. I wear the same clothes and same shoes, same socks at a soccer game. So, you just pray that I don't have 2 soccer games in a row because my socks will be really stinky.
Yeah, we've noticed, but we didn't want to say anything.
Obviously the lucky hat. I have a shark tooth that I wear during during air flights. A shark tooth, which I have to go through because it could be considered a weapon. So I have to go through security, and I put it in my, carry-on.
Well, that makes sense
I answer
because
questions.
if you're downed over the ocean, having a shark tooth
will repel the
defend-
sharks.
Yeah.
Well, they might look at it and say, "Hey, he's one of us."
Yeah.
Or,
No, I
hey,
didn't. I
look,
never thought about that.
bastard's
Or he's
got
a
a shot.
badass
He
and
took
he
a.
killed one of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He took a tooth off one of us.
He's a shark dentist.
Remember the Sacagawea dollars? The Sacagawea
yes.
dollars,
Yeah.
the coins. We used to, and we got some when we went to Bulgaria with Louis, because they are kind of considered good luck in Bulgaria. And so I would go to the post office, and they have vending machines there for stamps. And I would get one stamp and put $10 in it, and all the change would be gold Sacagawea coins. And I'll take those and take them with me as a present. It was a great move because it was a great present in Bulgaria, but it costs $1. So
Let's
good
move on to something a little bit more serious.
I was dead serious, man. I won so many soccer games because of those socks.
What have today's politics come to? Particularly when a person with a differing political view, or maybe a different religion, is automatically nasty and bad and wrong. So much so that whatever the matter is, there can be no discussion. Mm-hmm. Where have we come to with that? Let's start with Lewis.
So I was listening to a couple of politicians talk about this question on a talk show. There are politicians on the different sides of the spectrum. One very conservative politician, one very liberal politician. the one thing they agreed on was that things got worse here in America when the politicians no longer had to eat and live together. The fact that politicians can now go home means that you can spend more time in your own bubble. You can crucify the other guy, the other position, and not give it any merit.
That was an on purpose move, wasn't it?
It seems like it was.
No, I think it was. It was either in the 2000s or the 1990s when they decided they did not want people talking to the other side to go home, and they made it especially so that would happen.
Now, I say that as to say that this is the rationale that the politicians gave, but we had politicians killing each other in Congress decades before that. So I'm not sure that that's
not the actual reason. Maybe it's one of the contributing factors. But
I would think so. But yeah. I guess for me, it seems to have always been that the other guy is not only wrong, but stupid because he's wrong.
Sociologically, our nation, and you could almost argue the entire industrial world, has evolved into this state where everybody thinks they are special. Everyone thinks they're entitled, and when you think that you are special and you are entitled, you are never wrong. And so if I were to question your opinion, they don't take it as let's have a discussion and maybe share ideas so we can evolve some ideas together. Instead, they take it as an attack. And I would say that's the big picture of why that happens. We, as a society, just as a almost global culture, we're so self-absorbed now that if I say, no, I disagree with you, boom, you just assume that I'm bad and I'm attacking you.
yeah.
So then it's the World War II generation. It's their fault.
No, actually, no. I would say it's even gotten worse with younger generations.
Kathleen.
Because they're so into themselves.
I haven't got anything useful to add at this moment. Because I'm not absolutely certain that what you're saying is true on an individual level. I think people can discuss things now and then. That said, I think anybody who supports Trump is an idiot. But other than that, you
That's what
know.
it just
So
got
if
more.
Governor Brownback came in here now and we were asking him something to do with, I don't know, elder care or something.
He'd wonder why the
and
entire
could-
bar was
and
booing
could
him.
we, could he please explain his policy on something? What happens if your policy happens to be, very similar to what he thinks? You know, is it true to say that you still think he's an arsehole?
I think the effect of what he's done, and he knows the effect of what he's done, is horrible, and therefore he's an asshole for doing it.
Right, Eva.
Well, I mean, there's so many reasons we're so polarized and divided, and it's gotten to I think we've reached some kind of threshold at this point, and there's a lot of variables. Obviously, we are probably wired differently, 50% one way, 50% the other. I actually read a scientific article that was very well in a scientific journal that was very well backed up by statistical data that suggests that we are wired to be either on the liberal side or on the conservative side. And
So wait, when you say wired, that makes it sound like you were just born naturally this way and not conditioned that way.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, and yeah, you gotta seek it out, seek out the scientific research. But it's there's almost like we're genetically wired, predisposed to be one way or the other way. Obviously, social environment plays a big role, but there is some kind of scientific proof, and it's statistically viable, that suggests that 50% of the humanity is one way, 50% out. But those things get so magnified by other factors, and I think internet is largely responsible. There's been this has really turned us into somewhat of monsters. You know, you go into any article on the internet, it could be something about the weather. The weather is going to be good tomorrow, and the third or fourth comment underneath, it will be about the Jews. You know, the Jews are controlling the weather. You know, kill all the Jews. It's unbelievable how quickly vitriol infiltrates the internet. And then also, the internet has given us something amazing. At the palm of our hands, well, porn of course, but at the palm of our hands, You
No
can
pun
go.
intended.
You can no pun intended. You can go. You can go and back. No matter what preposterous point of view you have, you can back it up with a bizarre data on the internet. For example,
Well, yeah, that's the whole fake news. That's-
yeah,
Fake-
the
fake-
fake news,
fake
but
news.
it's
Exactly.
everywhere. It's completely
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And it's embedded into the fabric of the net. And you can say, okay, Hillary Clinton is really a mole that has been placed here by an exoplanet from whatever constellation, and you go on the internet and you find it.
Yeah.
And you can't argue with people with facts. They will come up with something that they just discover on the internet and give it to you. So it's really ridiculous.
But that's
and
not
it's,
a fact.
I think we've gotten to a point. I loved the speech that Hillary Clinton gave after she lost. She came out dressed in a purple shirt under her suit, and her husband Bill Clinton came with a purple tie. And this was a very obvious and subtle message that it's time that we start cooperating. It's time that red and blue come together into and we start thinking more in the color purple. Start cooperating more with each other and find a middle ground. Otherwise, nothing is gonna get done, and we're gonna be permanently stuck in this vortex of steamy diarrhea that we're into right now.
It's a lovely name for a
I
rock
agree
band.
with a lot.
Yeah, vortex of steamy diarrhea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
I agree with a lot of that, but the premise I still have a problem with. I'm not sure that it's the internet, because as long as we've had people able to state their opinion publicly without having any responsibility tied to it, we've had people make up shit.
That is true.
That's
Jane, you were talking earlier in another about consequences. Do you feel that if people have a differing opinion to you, that they're nasty?
In most cases, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, and that's funny because just listening, the only side note I can think of is when you're watching a talk show with all of these supposed learned lawyers and politicians that have so much education, and all they do is try to talk over one another. And as a listener, I sit there and I'm trying to listen to the point, but somebody else won't let them get it out.
Yeah.
And so it delves into, once again, the rudeness of talking over people, and can you not just wait and listen?
I'm gonna let
to
you
this
finish. Hold
point?
on, I'm gonna let you finish. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Did you see how I just fell for that too? I was ready to back off.
Yeah.
Ready to back off.
Was that a female thing?
Probably.
But yeah, you're
I
right.
know my place.
I mean, we had the whole yellow journalism from when
Yellow
newspapers start-
journalism?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the term. When there were lots of small independent news publishers, they would just print articles made up entirely.
Oh yeah, I mean, National Enquirer is that for you.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
that leads me on to a next question. Thank you very much, which is rather good. And that is, we'll start with Evo, I think. I want Evo to answer this. What is a fact in today's spin media? How would you define a fact? What's a fact?
Well, what is a fact? It's something that has actually happened, that is true, that is actually exists in our reality, and is not manufactured by some think tank or a point speaking point factory. We have so many of those. The pundits that you mentioned, these guys are manufactured on a conveyor belt in places like what was the Cato Institute, the think tanks that are financed by a lot of money, and they have to speak over each other because otherwise they're not going to get paid. I mean, they're there to provide a talking point, and they have to do it. They have to deliver it, and that's their job. So if they don't speak over the other guy, whoever is paying them is not going to pay them. The word of the year, of course, was post-truth. This is just another word for a lie.
Yep.
So it's how depressing it is that the word of the year for 2016 is a lie. This is what has become of this society.
Kathleen?
Do you think that we can actually improve things by starting in school and training people to figure out how the reality of a story? the truth of a source, to judge what's coming from where.
Oh, hang on a minute. You're talking about fact-checking there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to say to Eric, the producer, on a regular basis, no, Eric, of course it's true. And he says, have you researched it? And I go, yes, of course I have. And he says, no, you haven't.
Yeah, reality.
Okay.
The lies have become a way of living and have become the backbone of an entire political campaign, and it's very scary and very dangerous because we had Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh had a big segment on his show about, he called them the so-called fact checkers, and he said those fact checkers, you shouldn't get caught in these facts because their entire purpose, I'm serious, he was serious, the entire purpose is to influence you. I'm sorry, reality is going to influence me? Something that actually the GOP candidate actually said it 5 minutes ago and now he's denying it? No, this is a fact. This happened. He's on tape saying it. This is truth. Fact checking is just quoting reality.
Tyler, we've just had fact-checking is quoting reality. I'll come to you in a minute, Lewis.
Okay.
Tyler.
Honestly, when you're talking about a fact in today's spin media, I would argue that there are no such things. The only fact is that all media is biased. I don't care what way
But
they
other
go.
than the BBC, of course.
It's fun to pretend, isn't it? But I would say that all media, to some extent, is biased, and it's up to us.
You
It's up.
take him, put him
Not
up
my
against the
beloved
wall
Al
now.
Jazeera.
I'm sorry. Man. I didn't mean to hurt you like that. But basically, that's the only thing I can accept as fact. Everything else, I may see it on the nightly news, whatever. I may read it in the paper, whatever.
Okay,
the case
so
may
if the
be.
BBC says it's probably... What about the CNN?
No, they're biased.
But left-leaning. Fox?
Are you serious?
Okay. What about NBC?
They're to the right. They're to the right as it can be.
So
They're
NBC?
just going in a big circle. There's so much rightness.
Where's NBC? Are they in the-
NBC,
yeah.
CBS, and ABC, they like to claim that they are middle of the road.
Right.
Not really. Not really.
What about national TV? The national.
Probably the closest thing that I would argue is probably maybe the PBS NewsHour. That's the closest, but even that, if you just watch it consistently, you can see that there is more of a left leaning. Now it's not.
There used to be.
How about
Lewis.
used to
Let's
be.
go. Let's Lewis in.
I would say I kind of agree with you that it was definitely more prominent, and then it kind of faded for a while. But with the election this past year,
Yeah.
I've seen it slowly kind of come back a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit.
No, I think that it just appears that way because they stick to facts.
I would love, it's
Wow,
true.
you
I
have
would
a
love.
really good point.
I would love when there's an obvious lie. See, what's not biased? Reality is not biased. If something happened, you witnessed it happen, like Donald Trump claiming for years that Barack Obama was not born in the United States, a blatant racist stance, and then he comes out after it's been proven time and again, and it's become embarrassing. He comes out and says it was Hillary Clinton. I would like what New York Times did. New York Times, on the next day, they said, okay, and that's the first time I've ever seen them use the word lie. Said, this is a lie. He lied. And they brought it back. They brought back instance after instance after instance when that guy claimed time and again and claimed that he has hired private investigators and they have presented him with interesting facts that prove that Obama was not born in the United States. Well, New York Times proved that he has not hired anybody, there's no private investigators, and he's lying. Lie implies intent, that's why they don't use it as much. But he intended to lie. He knew that he was lying. He kept it going. So I like this. I don't know, maybe they're biased, but I like a media to come back and remind me why this is a lie.
Did
and
you
this
hear
is
that
reality.
quote, by the way? And forgive me, I can't remember who said it, but the quote by one of his cohorts about how, well, the reason why he was elected by the American public is because he speaks like the American public. And what I mean by that is you shouldn't be so down on him for stretching the truth every once in a while, because that's what we all do at our dinner tables. Did you guys hear about this? I can't remember who
Yes.
said that, but I was just like,
Well, I still think that, like, the very simple question Jeremy asked us, I think maybe you got a really good solid answer on it when you said there is no such thing as fact.
True.
Yeah, but I mean, when I saw this commercial on the show notes, it really stopped and gave me pause because I don't know how I could define fact. I like what Ivo said about reality. However, if I say right now that Trump won by a landslide, is that reality? Like this is a completely subjective question or a subjective answer, and all it takes is for me to repeat it enough times for it to become reality.
Okay, this is subjective, but we're talking about a situation where somebody does something, and 5 minutes later, okay, not 5 minutes, but the next day,
Doesn't
he
even matter
says
if it's 5 minutes.
Yeah, he says, I have never done this. You can go back, you just saw it. You saw it. So that's a fact. That's a fact. You can't deny something that happened. You saw it, witness. It's on tape. It's happened. I mean, well, okay. If you guys think that facts don't exist, okay, there was no Nazis. There was no Hitler. No Second World War. Prove to me that there was Second World War.
This is my question. Exactly how do you do that?
Well, I don't think that with the wealth of media out there now and social networks, there's just too much to do that. But you can, starting from a young age, train people to judge the source material, to find out what's true. If you put a picture with an article, does that picture support what's said in the article? Well, is it attributed? Does it actually have the name of who took it, or is it a stock photo of something else?
This statement
you got to be able to judge
But,
things.
okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
When I answered this question, I was talking about today's spin media, and you're going back to the idea of just a fact as itself. I totally agree with you, Evo.
Yeah.
That a fact is a fact, and yes, there are things like prove to me World War II existed, etc.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at today's spin media.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to that, everything they say, I have to take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. It's true. Everybody has an agenda. Everyone has an agenda.
Exactly.
And what Kathleen is saying also is true, that if you, I mean, it's just like anything else. You start at an early enough age, and surely you can train these kids, but everything counters it. Everything they see, everything they hear. True, they might be able to do that, but it's just like going back to the whole argument with the talking over everybody and stuff. Everything on the internet, everything on TV is nothing but reality TV, and they think that's how you should act. They are actually looking at this.
But your
idea
statement is
of-
meaningless because we can't prove that you actually said that just now.
Interestingly,
right now.
a comment I found quite interesting relating to why Trump won is that when we talk about reality TV, it's the first time that I have realized that I am an elite. I mean, I guess I was brought up as an elite, knowing that I came from an upper class family and that I was elite. Now I have realized, even though I didn't finish school, don't have a degree, that I am in fact an elite.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch reality TV.
Yeah.
And where Trump won, it's been suggested, is that the people who voted for him do.
They're the ones who watch
the-
Celebrity Apprentice.
They watch these things, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just that he said, "I'm going to bring your jobs back," and he didn't say anything else, right? And that's what they wanted to hear. Now we have union leaders saying that's actually not happening, and yada yada yada.
And then
basically,
being threatened every day.
basically,
saying
what
it.
he said was, "I'm going to bring your jobs back."
Yeah.
I read that completely different, though.
And the guys in the bar say, well, when he said he could put his hand on the woman's pussy, that's bar talk, it doesn't matter. You know, that's what men
like
say.
talking at the
I
family
read
dinner.
Just
that.
You
like
don't have to
us,
know the
we
truth.
would say that
You just
in
talk.
Conroy's.
I read exactly what you said is exactly the reason that he got elected. Just not that he got elected by those people because they watch reality TV. I think that there was this huge part of the American population that is suffering, that is being ignored, and that there were literally two candidates that talked to those people, Donald Trump and Bernie. And for me, I told you guys here last year that for me, it was a race about ideologies, and the ideology that I thought would be most interesting to see is the hate that Trump proposed versus the inclusiveness that Bernie proposed. And to this day, I still believe without hesitation that is what got Donald Trump elected, that he was talking to the nearly half of the voting population that voted for him. I don't think that they're all racist. I don't think that they're all stupid. I don't think that they're all uninformed. I think that even though Trump's message was empty, he still pointed that message at
But
this
the bottom
particular
line
group of
is, I
people.
put it to you, Kathleen, that Bernie was just a grumpy old man,
Okay, if you say so.
and therefore he wouldn't be credible as a president.
You mean
Oh.
not as credible as Trump?
Bernie Sanders was way more than a grumpy old man. Fantastic ideas, lots of presence. He did not win the primary. That's all there is to it.
Could he have been president?
Yeah.
Trump
More
is
like
president.
should've
Who
been.
can't be president?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, that whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
Stupid. I
Little
can't
crybaby.
believe that
all right,
Donald
let's change
Jennifer
before
Trump
this
is
goes
president.
down we're going to be looking at Ivanka as the first lady. Boeing have just announced Boeing
mean
aircraft
Melania.
have just.
No, he meant Ivanka.
I
Oh,
meant
okay.
Ivanka. Boeing have just announced a deal with Iran, or Iran as some people call it here, Iran, to supply 80 new aircraft. Trump says that Boeing is nasty. He doesn't like Boeing.
Are those passenger aircraft?
And apparently he's going to bar US airlines from using Boeing aircraft liners. From when he gets elected, he will forbid all American airlines to use Boeing aircraft.
So
How's he gonna manage that?
So
Yeah.
how many
Like building
workers
a
will
wall.
be on the street?
There's not a prayer in hell that's going to happen.
Right?
Oh, that might have been false news, sorry.
You're doing a hell of a job.
Oh, sorry. I think that might have been false news. Oh,
And I
sorry.
knew you were biased some way, shape, or form.
But Iran's warships are harassing US warships. Are double standards okay? You know, there used to be a crime. Think of Great Gatsby, known as profiteering.
Oh, so a fictional crime?
Profiteering was a very real thing. You could be executed for it.
I
back
know,
in
I'm
the
just
day.
joking with you.
So what I'm saying is double standards. Boeing, does Trump have a point? We hate them. Flying fortresses are all right because they're bombers. But if we've got an American destroyer going down through the Straits of Hormuz, it's being harassed by Iranian. But we're quite happy.
Harassment.
But we're quite happy to sell Iran 80 new airliners. Is that okay, Jane?
No. Don't talk about this.
Boring. It's a man thing. It's not. Well,
How
you
are
might
they harassing warships? What are they doing? Grabbing them by the
yeah,
aircraft carrier?
Yeah, they're grabbing them by their propellers.
Yeah.
Grab him in the
And-
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
it's
come
very
Trump
naughty.
hates Iran so much and loves Russia so much? I can't figure that out.
I don't know. A lot of money.
I can't figure out a damn thing he does. So
Yeah. He
I mean-
obviously has more business dealings with Russia
course.
and owes them more money or vice versa.
just
Maybe
him
that's
going
it.
after Boeing
He's-
is clearly a personal business venture. That's all it is for him.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the states and with the government and for trying to protect the U.S. It has something to do with him and business.
Oh, a lot of
Guaranteed.
money are going to
Or
be
ego.
made. A lot of money. The embargo, the
Evo, not
Yeah.
ego.
Ego.
I thought you were
The-
calling him ego.
the economic sanctions on Russia have prevented ExxonMobil from a deal that was going to bring them, are you ready for this? $500 billion.
With a birth.
$1 billion, $500 billion in the Arctic Reserve that's controlled by Russia, and ExxonMobil was going to benefit $500 billion. When Obama came up with the sanctions, that deal was off, and they couldn't do anything.
And now look
So-
who's leading the candidacy for the Secretary of State.
yeah, so this is
Exactly.
the kind of money.
Shocking.
Yeah, we have this guy running. We have Rick Perry running the energy department. So it's pretty obvious that the guy is not trying to run the government. He's trying to dismantle the government. He's appointing a billionaire woman who was against trying to destroy public education in Michigan. He's appointing her to run public education.
Yep.
There's a pattern. We have Rick Perry who's going to demolish, to eliminate Department of Energy. Even forgot the name of the Department of Energy in last presidential elections. He's now running the Department of Energy. What? Billy Bush is going to run FCC next? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's appointing
But-
specifically people. The Attorney General of Oklahoma oil guy is going to be running the EPA, right?
And it's all for profit. It's
That-
all for
look
profit.
for the money. Maybe the whole root of the thing is the Russia axis. In other words, maybe this whole ExxonMobil thing and Russia interfering in the elections and everything that Trump is doing, maybe it's all this money-making plot to do with Russia.
Hey, guys.
And all the rest of it's window dressing.
I have a great idea. A great idea. You have
For
to
a new
listen
band?
to this. No. This is serious. It's been brewing in my head for a long time. This is not a joke. This has to do with Russia and Putin. Putin, after Gorbachev was gone, Yeltsin started this oligarchy thing. It was kind of a natural, organic process. The transition towards market economy was sabotaged in Russia because a handful of people, oligarchs, who had connections in the USSR government, took over the huge resources, the big manufacturing power, and became billionaires. Those guys were further enhanced by Putin. So now, as you know, we have an autocratic oligarchy. Oligarchy is a Greek word. It means rule by the few. And they're all billionaires.
Yeah.
They control the entire country. They do whatever they want. People like Roman Abramovich, like Khodorkovsky, they're enormously powerful. Okay, so Putin created a new system, oligarchy in Russia. Democracy, the word democracy is gradually becoming dirty word. In Eastern Europe, in Russia, they look at democracy as an archaic thing that doesn't work and it's doomed. They worked so hard to install Trump. What Trump is doing, guys,
Yeah, he's
creating
installing an
an
oligarchy.
oligarchy.
Yeah.
He's installing an autocratic oligarchy,
Yes.
carbon copy of Russia
Absolutely.
in America. Subtly,
Yeah.
they helped him, and it's exactly
It's not a
oligarchy.
coincidence what he's
Russia
doing.
wins over democracy in the biggest democracy in the world. It's really frightening if you think about it. It's really frightening that we've been defeated.
Yeah, you
And-
could argue that Russia is kind of will ultimately
Yeah.
win the Cold War. Because
Yes. Putin stated that the biggest tragedy of the 20th century was the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Not World War I, not World War II, not the 30 million killed by Stalin, not the Jewish genocide. It was the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So now, it's pretty clear what he wants. He wants new Soviet Union. And he was devastated that the West won the Cold War. Now he's slowly winning back, and the Cold War has never really ended.
No, it hasn't.
A hypothetical question next. And I'd ask the panel to just go with this. All right, just what if? What would happen, do you guys think, if the Electoral College does not vote for Trump? Now, these are going to be just opinions, right? But it could be anything from zombie apocalypse to, okay, we've got Paul Ryan as the president. But I'm just interested in what you guys think. If the Electoral College have been briefed by the CIA or something like that, and they just decide, you know what, this just isn't right. This just isn't right. And if we go back to the old days when the Electoral College was first formed, the idea was that the people who were on the Electoral College were intelligent men, forgive me ladies, but they were intelligent people in the society that they lived in at the moment. They were business people, they were teachers, engineers, architects, perhaps clergy, and they were supposed to vote on behalf of the people who weren't properly educated. So the whole idea originally was that they would be able to make a decision. So what do you think, Lewis, if might happen to the country, in the country, around the country, politically, whatever you like, if the Electoral College does not vote for Trump?
I think there's one of two paths they can take. They will either then vote
Who's
for
they?
the Electoral College.
Right.
They would either be voting for Hillary, in which case Hillary becomes our president, or they don't vote for anybody, in which case who knows who would be our next president. But I think that it would ultimately, I don't know what the right word is. I think that the people that voted for Trump would feel cheated and robbed and there are literally enough people that voted for Trump as a even as a protest vote to then have all of them not have their votes mean anything, I think would put everybody in the country at everybody else's throat. I think we would see.
So do we
if that
think that might
happens-
be civil war?
I think the
Very
people who've been
possible.
stockpiling guns will actually have a reason to,
to go out and use them.
use them.
And then whatever this conflict, it's going to be messy. But I can tell you, if that happens, this will be the end of the Electoral College system.
Agreed.
And they will just go to majority vote from
And I'm
now
going to
on.
add to that a little bit.
Please,
There's
Tyler.
backing that up. I mean, I hate to say it, but it may just end up being a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Because in the long run, not having Electoral College would be much more beneficial than what we have.
No, it's very interesting because I know a little bit about your background and your interests, and history is one of them. And,
Porn is the other.
And history is one of them. Yes, and the same with you. The same with you. Don't be
He's into
picky.
No,
history
porn is my
porn.
only interest.
Oh, I see. Right.
I'm just waiting to go to Disneyland. Man.
Yeah.
Disneyland.
I just wanna go
Good old
I
Disneyland.
just can't wait to go to Disneyland.
Yeah. Retro stuff you're interested in. I know. You
Hey,
told
that's
me.
history, buddy.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is, do you think that this may be history repeating itself? That we need to have a sort of grasping of the nettle to exercise.
Grasping at the nettle? What
Yeah,
the hell
to
kind of
exercise-
phrase is that?
You have to grab the nettle to pull it out of the ground.
Grasping
It's a
at
weed.
what?
And
gotcha.
yet it
or
hurts.
exercise the zit. To
You
get rid of the Electoral
exercise your
College.
zits?
Exercise the zit is a great name for a
Exorcise.
metal
Yes,
band.
nettle
Exercise
zits.
the zit.
Jeez.
Do
Great
you
name
think?
for a
I mean,
band.
the Electoral College. Hillary Clinton, even after the recounts, is still a million or two ahead.
Well,
and a half.
okay, yes,
million
I do think you will have to exercise a zit or pull at the teat or whatever the hell that other thing was. and yes, I do think that something drastic will have to happen. I don't think it's going to be a nice, simple, gradual change. Kind of, echoing again what Evo said, I think there will be some kind of, and what all of you have kind of instituted here is that there will be some kind of drastic, maybe perhaps civil wars you mentioned, some kind of something is going to happen that's going to cause enough Americans to finally go, okay, we've got to get rid of the Electoral College. Clearly they are not.
Well,
doing
Churchill
it.
said a very long time ago, 70 years ago, that Americans always do the right thing after they've tried everything else.
Right.
Yes.
And I think it's very
Well, we
true.
haven't had a modern civil war yet, so who knows?
Right.
Women-
Kathleen, what do you think?
Well, I think, yes, if they were to vote not to elect Trump, there would result in dissolution of the Electoral College forever. They just would not be able to continue.
Are we
But
going to
whether
see
they'll
riots
actually
in
do it or
Chicago?
not, I don't think.
Maybe it's time.
Well, so far, I just was on the
Something
internet
has to
today looking at different news sources, and there are a couple of people that claim that there are, at last count, 20 electors.
20? I heard
20.
10.
Yeah, I just heard 20. It's still way short of the 36 they would
They need
need
another
to.
10, they'd be all right.
No, they actually
10?
need 36.
36 in total to switch?
Yeah.
I think ultimately survival instinct's going to take over, and those guys will, because can you imagine these people will be hunted
Yes.
down. I mean,
I would almost echo that.
bloggers are getting hunted down. Can you
They
imagine?
will probably stick with Trump simply
Yeah.
for fear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is maybe the most
talking
scary
about.
thing we've talked about thus far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you think it could end up with people getting killed and
Oh yeah. I mean, just try to exercise the zit, and you'll be gone. you know.
Let's lighten this up just for a minute, and then we'll go back to a serious one. We all watch the TV weather. For some reason, we're addicted to weather,
Oh yeah.
whether it's on the TV or radio.
For some reason, because it's always there.
And locally, the sensible, highly qualified TV weather reporter left for a better position, only to be replaced by a silly man with a bow tie. What I wanted to know, and just go around the panel, is do we actually bother to watch the reports, any reports, particularly as they have a habit of making us wait by teasing whatever the actual report is going to be? And we watch the thing on automatic,
Yeah.
but we don't really remember 10 minutes later what the weather report was, unless they said snow, in which case we're going to pay attention.
You keep saying we.
Well, I was brought up, my father was an architect, my grandfather was an architect, and architects always make a note in their diaries of what the weather was
I thought
that
they
day.
were lords.
Yeah, true.
Every time you speak, Brahms music starts playing.
But architects like to know what the weather is so they can see
suspect-
whether people are built working on the site. They have a good reason. But other than that, who cares? You only want to know if it's going to snow.
The other way you can get off work.
Well, right,
And
exactly.
that's when we watch television news. That's it.
Well,
That's pretty much
weather.
it.
If I want to know what the weather's like,
Sorry,
other
weather,
than the
yes.
winter,
Weather bug.
I'll just put my hand outside. Or I'll just open a window. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what the weather's like outside. Good.
I kind of agree with you.
That's really all I got to do.
Well, but it's
Lewis,
called
do you-
forecast. You know?
Lewis, do you what do you watch weather? Listen to weather?
Hell
Do you
no.
go on the internet?
I
Do
go
you
on the
care?
internet. I go on the internet. I'm
Right.
Weather.com.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I think unfortunately, weatherman profession is obsolete. They're gonna be gone very soon.
No.
I think there will be in Bulgaria, in Europe. Do you know who the weather people are?
The hot chicks.
Incredibly hot chicks
This
that can
is-
barely speak.
this is why
But
weathermen will
they
never
look
go away.
Incredible. They're almost completely.
You
If
get
you
Fox
ever watch
News
the Weather
over
Channel,
there?
that's what's on the Weather Channel. I'm serious. Like, for the most part, that's what's on the Weather Channel.
They can
But
but
it
they
has
can
to
read
be
the
s-
teleprompter.
It has to be said, Evo.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Yeah.
that you are one of the what's the most published people
Sure.
in the former Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
Right across. Right. You
Well, I don't
are
know
you
about-
are a best-selling author.
Yeah. in
And
one
so
country.
it seems to be that people who should interview you should be intelligent, worldly people, particularly perhaps with a sports bent. Then I put it to you, my friend, why are we talking that you get interviewed by ladies who are probably just about 17 with
Very few clothes on.
legs up to their
Do
tummy
you really
buttons
get interviewed
Well,
by
and
17-year-olds?
surrounded
They're
by
all very-
white sheets
Everybody that's interviewed me has been extremely intelligent.
and
I gotta tell you
gorgeous?
that. Well, no, not everybody.
Now, bear in mind, your wife is
Not
within
everybody.
striking distance of you.
Yeah. No. No.
No,
we-
can
we're
you see the
talking-
way he's trying to get out of it? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, no.
Well, some
Sometimes.
journalists are good looking, some are not. But all the weather women in Bulgaria or the weather men that don't exist anymore are super hot women, very young, almost completely naked. They read the teleprompter. They basically read what the internet says about the weather, what's coming, and that's it.
Eric, the producer, always, when we're doing one of our radio shows, I like to see if I can distract him so he forgets to do the weather when we first start. And then he's off. Off he goes. Pop up this, pop up that, and all of a sudden a flurry of this. Oh, Eric, you feel you need to say something.
I do, and it's not the weather, but it's about the weather in this conversation. We use the National Weather Service for information. That's the factual information that when you talk about considering the source in the other fact conversation.
Yeah.
When you mention for-profit weather organizations like AccuWeather, Weather Channel, they're going to use heightened warning words. If they see just a small degree of rotation, they're going to call it tornado warning. In fact, that happened in Kansas, where a tornado warning was issued and there was no rotation.
So they're doing it for ratings.
They're causing, they're
Wow.
altering the information, in my opinion, and could cause unnecessary actions or necessary actions. So when you get for-profit into information, a piece of information such as factual weather,
Fake
That-
news. Fake news.
then
Fake
it goes
news,
back to
yeah.
considering the source
they're
and their
doing it strictly
motivation.
for ratings, right?
And their motivation, ratings, and then ad
They're
revenue.
biased.
Yeah,
And money.
They're
right.
biased towards
Whereas
the
the
bad
National
weather.
Weather Service-
We're divided in people that want good weather and bad weather. And
So
they're
what we're
biased.
saying is
They're-
Republican weather and Democratic weather.
Yes,
That's right.
blue and red
For
weather.
too long, we have had
For the love of
storms
God.
in the Midwest.
Vortex of steaming diarrhea.
Yeah, a vortex of steaming diarrhea in the Midwest.
See, I feel like when I watch the weather.
Translate
Go on,
a little
Jay.
bit when you read
was
the
just-
National Weather Service reports, though? Like,
try
they
to-
don't actually give you a forecast, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
But I'm not to say they're right, more right than anybody else. But they use in my opinion, the most objective information and language that you can present to
I worry
the
about
public.
you. You seem really obsessed with weather, man.
Oh.
You know what's a good idea? We have forecasts. Why not have backcasts? And have
That would be
backcasts
so goddamn
saying
useful.
What the weather's going to be yesterday.
Jane, you were trying to say something
I
just
was just
now.
going to say that on further examination of this subject, I
On
think
further
that
examination in my learned
I
college.
feel that anytime that I actually watch the weather, I don't even care about the weather. You're right. I'm actually watching the person delivering the weather, and especially local news or the national news. They have certain types of people, and very, very few times that I'm watching the weather forecast, I'm actually focusing on the forecast. Like, for example, I was just watching NBC Nightly News the other night when they were talking about the snowmageddon in the East Coast right now.
Yeah.
And they have this pregnant woman who is delivering the news. She's from the Weather Channel, and I don't know her name. But she's very pregnant, and she has this tight-fitting dress, and it looks wretched.
That's
and
hot.
I thought to myself, all I kept thinking to myself was, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, but that looks like shit.
You know,
I mean, that's all I ever do is
I saw the
judge
same
the
thing.
people giving the weather.
Whoa,
Yeah, he looks stupid.
bad.
Look at that
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
his
saw the
makeup
same
is
thing, and
horrible.
I'm looking at it going, I'm just watching like I'm gonna watch a live birth. That thing's about to pop out.
it's yeah.
I'm serious. That's really
horrible.
that's the only reason I was watching because I'm sitting there thinking, man, she's gonna have that baby right now. I mean, she's just so pregnant.
She was so
Yeah.
pregnant.
She's-
But it was
yeah.
very high
This
up.
is
There's
actually
no way
can't
this
that-
is
sit
by
through
far
the
the
news.
worst job in the world, right?
Lewis.
It's plutonium mine, plutonium working with enriched plutonium, uranium mines, mercury mines, and then weather person reporting from the place. I mean, all these poor people. They're basically holding onto a telephone pole while the freaking hurricane is blowing them out of the frame. You know, hey, driving rain in their face.
And John, I've just got a large piece of wood right through my leg, but I'm going to keep broadcasting.
And just stating the obvious, their job is to be there while they're basically being killed by a tornado.
It's really
And say,
windy,
hey,
it's
there's a
raining
tornado
hard.
behind. Yeah, it's,
Nah.
it's freaking horrible.
This
horrible.
is so cold.
I
So
can't
cold.
stomach the news, like especially the local news. It's so depressing for the first 15 minutes. I can never make it to the weather section, so I just gave up on that entirely. But I gotta say, I agree with my esteemed colleague, Mr. Durden here. Like, you really only ever check the weather to make sure that what you have already figured out is still the case.
Well, you don't care about the weather, but most people who die in flooding are people that don't care about the weather.
That's true.
You know, so, I mean, you gotta know what's coming.
Yeah.
I mean,
all
because
it
it
really
could be devastating. At the same time, most of the time it's stating the obvious. Most of the time it's something you can check online. And also, there's people in the National Weather Service that drive me insane.
So the bottom line is, I'll go back to Jane for a final comment. It's all about
The Benjamins, baby.
What you want to wear in the morning.
absolutely 19 Time magazine.
exercising the
fuck?
zit.
They're actually really interesting. 19 and
Who are you calling this
they've been into predictions for a long time, you know. 1938 Time magazine named Hitler as the man of the year, saying that 1939 would be a very interesting year.
It was.
The person or thing of the year doesn't need to be well liked. They have luminaries such as Stalin, Clinton, Putin, Martin Luther King, Ayatollah Khomeini, even the computer have all been pictured. This year it was Trump. Who would be your man, person, or thing of the year, Lewis?
I have no idea. Come back to me.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Lewis. Who would be your man, person, or thing of the year? Other than Evo's
Probably
throat.
the Note 7 for its notoriety, especially on airplanes.
Note 7. That's
Yes.
an Apple product,
No,
is
it's
it?
the phone that's been blowing up.
Oh,
It's a
right.
Samsung phone.
The phone of the year. Right. Tyler.
That would be a group picture of the members of the Electoral College. The group
The
photo
Electoral
of them.
College.
Yep.
Really, that's very interesting. Kathleen, who would be your man, person, or thing of the year?
I'm thinking a small baby, a newborn baby, who is going to grow up to have no social security, no safety net, no nothing. It's going to be dog eat dog.
I like
Is
that.
this
That's a good answer.
the new prince of England?
No,
Oh,
just,
okay.
just any generic little kid. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Jane, who would be your person of the year?
You all have such good answers, and the first person I thought of was The Rock.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Cooking.
Sexiest man alive, right?
Yeah.
Evo, who would be your man?
I
person
don't
or
know.
thing
I
of the
mean,
year?
since we're going negative with Hitler and Apparently Cosby wasn't available, so they went with Trump. I'll go with the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper, man of the 2016, because that bastard killed Bowie, Prince.
Just took down Alan Thicke yesterday.
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Greg Palmer. Carl Palmer and Greg Lake from Emerson, Lake and
Yep.
Palmer. Amazingly, Keith Emerson didn't die in 2016.
I
I'm
were him,
shocked. Well, there's still a
I'll
week
say
or
there's
so.
still a week. If I were him, I'd be counting my
Yeah,
blessings.
I would hide somewhere,
Yeah, Leonard Cohen as
But
well.
Green Reaper was a bastard this year. He was prominently featured. Took away some of the most beloved musicians and made 2016 even more unbearable. So here's to you, Man of the Year, Green Reaper.
How about you?
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Who
who's
would
your
you pick?
person of the year?
Prince Harry.
What? Prince Harry.
Well,
why?
he's just wild about Harry.
He's known for.
Got that cute little piece
Yeah.
of hot ass going on.
Well, here's the thing.
I mean,
he's
he's-
dating an American actress,
Meghan Markle.
Piece of hot ass.
Meghan Markle,
Yeah.
and he is currently
Not that I know who that is.
he's currently probably talking to Her Majesty the Queen to get permission to have a secret engagement. You heard it here first.
Oh my God.
And what's interesting about this relationship is that we've been there before, the Brits have. Remember Mrs. Simpson, or as the Queen Mother referred to her always as that woman. Meghan is a few years older than our Prince, and she's an American citizen.
Is she divorced?
Our Prince, yes.
Oh.
Our Prince is British and not an American citizen. My question for you guys and all the listeners out there paying attention to Wednesday Night Undressed is to think about this for a moment. He isn't allowed to live in America. She is not allowed to live in England. What will happen? Will Trump give him American citizenship, or will the Queen give Meghan British citizenship? If you think there's going to be a punch-up, you ain't downtowned it yet. You've been listening to Wednesday Night Undressed, coming to you live from Conroy's. Don't forget, we will consider requests for discussion on the show, and you can just get to us by going online. I'd like to thank our panel, of course, the Dark Lord, Evo, Kathleen, Dr. Orlando, Jane Carter, and punching his way up, Tyler Durden. Thanks to our producer and editor, Eric Holcomb, engineer Neil Rasmussen, Tom Conroy, of course, letting us do this every week. Do come and try his steak fries, and probably running the coolest pub in the region. From me, your host, Jeremy Taylor, thanks for joining in. Don't forget to check in on our radio shows where you can hear Eric, the producer, giving me a hard time on KLWN 1320, particularly on Friday and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central, or go to the site, Wednesday Night Undress. Don't force yourselves now, ladies and gentlemen. Don't force yourselves.